Hi, lovely ladies. Hope you're having a good week. So this is take 3. So we'll see if we can get through this video, hopefully, and maybe this one will make a little bit more sense. Yes, this is a lovely zit that I have on my face here. I wish that I could offer some hope that after a certain point in your life that things like acne go away. And while maybe it hasn't gone away for me, it definitely has gotten better, but it is what it is. My heavenly body won't have zits, so I'm just kind of focusing on that today. Anywho, sorry, I'm goofy and silly and just thought it's there. I might as well go ahead and point it out. So I'm just kind of struggling just overall, and I think I don't know if it's a lack of focus or that my brain just kind of wants to go all sorts of different directions with this particular lesson. I think it's probably the latter, and maybe a combination of that and the fact that I'm struggling with focus lately. But this is just a really weighty topic. And I feel like I say this every time we study something that, oh yeah, this is a really weighty topic. Well, I feel like these topics kind of grow and they build, and therefore they kind of become a little bit weightier as we move on. So again, I'm a words person, so I thought I would start first of all with the dictionary definition of the word redemption. So redemption is an act of redeeming or atoning for a fault or mistake. The state of being redeemed. Deliverance, rescue, atonement for guilt, repurchase as of something that was sold, and paying off of a debt. So all of these definitions definitely speak to me and kind of help me understand what this word redemption means. However, I really like this idea of this repurchasing and this idea of paying off of a debt. So it's kind of that idea that, back in the garden with the Adam and Eve, we literally walked with God and there was just no separation between us and him. But then sin got in the way. And as a result of those choices that were made, sin separated us from God. And, that sin was passed down through all these generations. However, there's this buying back that happens with the cross, where Jesus dies a substitutionary death in our place, so that we don't have to take on that payment of sin, which is death, and that we can live basically in this state of being redeemed, which is just a really powerful thing. So basically our key verses are found in the book of Isaiah, and I'm going to go ahead and read you the first set of those. And by the way, I'm in the book on pages 83 and 84, and for your homework this week, you're going to want to read and study page 84, as well as the verses that are listed there. We've got Matthew 8:17, Acts 8, verse 32 through 33, 1 Peter 2, verse 22 through 25, and then also Isaiah 52, verses 13 through 53, verses 12. So if you read nothing else, read Isaiah there in 52, verses 13 and 53, verses 12. So if you're not familiar with the book of Isaiah, Isaiah is a prophet. And basically the whole book of Isaiah, there's so many prophecies that are spoken about the Messiah who would come. And the cool thing is that there are just hundreds and hundreds of these prophecies that are fulfilled through the birth, the life, the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus. And a lot of those are found in the book of Isaiah. So I'm going to go ahead and read for you our key memory verses, which is Isaiah 53, verse 4 through 6. And then I'm going to share another verse with you. So it says in Isaiah that surely he has borne our griefs and carried our sorrows, yet we esteemed him stricken, smitten by God, and afflicted. But he was pierced for our transgressions, he was crushed for our iniquities. Upon him was the chastisement that brought us peace, and with his wounds we are healed. All we like sheep have gone astray. We have turned every one to his own way, and the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. So, Jesus is not unfamiliar with the idea of grief and sorrow because he felt all of that. And it's just another reason why Christ in human form can sympathize with us in our humanity and our struggles that we have. And so again, all of our sin that Christ has brought on, God placed on Christ to pay for us. And, we're like sheep, we wander and we stray from the truth and God's truth. And, because of that separation, that Christ had to take it all. I went ahead and kept reading, especially in verse 10, where in Isaiah 53:10, this was just the verse that I really struggled with this week, and I'll see what you guys think about it. But it says, "Yet it was the will of the Lord to crush him. He has put him to grief." I just really struggle. Again, I'm a words person, so the idea of being crushed, being obliterated, and that being God's will is just a struggle for me. So it's like, I do understand that this was plan A, this was not plan B, that this was what God had intended all along. And because of it, it does bring God more glory, but it's just difficult, because just this idea of, well, that seems cruel. God wanted to crush him. God obliterated Jesus on our behalf, and it's just one of those things where I scratch my head, and I know it, but yet I don't necessarily understand it. And I don't know, that verse is hard for me. But yet in verse 10, it goes on to say, "When his soul makes an offering for guilt, he shall see his offspring. He shall prolong his days. The will of the Lord shall prosper in his hand." So it's kind of this idea that even though Christ is going through this terrible, horrible thing, I would argue not so much the physical, even though I know that was extremely difficult for him to bear, I'd say the mental and emotional side of what it felt like to receive upon you all of the wrath of God. Like, I can't even imagine that, especially for Jesus, who before time has had this special relationship, this communion with the Father, that I just don't know that, until, Christ comes again, that we're going to experience. But it's just, that's hard. But because of those things, there's a reward for Jesus, that, it's like it brings him joy to bring all of us to him. And so this idea that, we're actually co-heirs with Christ, and even though we're not deserving of it, that we are adopted into God's family because of this sacrifice that was made by Christ. But I will say that I don't know that I can understand the depth of what has been paid for me. And it's just verses like that just, I don't know, I'm an empath, and it so just kind of breaks my heart on behalf of Jesus and what he did for me, and the fact that I don't deserve it, and yet, am not as grateful for it as I feel like I should be. So again, I don't know that I completely understand this verse, but I just know that it hurts my heart, and that it's a hard teaching that this was God's will for Jesus to be broken in this way. So I guess my thoughts would just be, take some time this week to dwell on your redemption and what Christ did in order that we could have that and that we could be right with God again, because it's a lot that's been paid. And I don't know that we will ever fully understand or comprehend that which Jesus has done for us on our behalf. So that's kind of all I got for you. If for your homework this week, I'd like you guys to read page 83 and 84 in your book. And then also there's a list of verses there at the top of page 84 that I'd like you to go through if you have the time. If you don't have the time, then I would literally just read Isaiah 52 verses 13